Restore such a one in the spirit of meekness, considering yourself, lest you also be tempted. So it's not a pride issue. Even those of us who are in the community of the Messiah, we got to put down pride. There's a certain way that you handle things with your brothers when there's issues. Do you see this? Does not mean the issues is not to be addressed, but there's a certain way of handling things. And we're not to do it in hatred. Verse 2, it says, bear you one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of the Messiah. In those moments of weakness, we have to carry one another's burdens. Listen, it says, for if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceives himself. Do you see that? You see how he has to deal with pride? Thank you, my Father, my King. We have to address the pride and we have to lay it down. You understand? Listen, it says, but let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone and not in another. For every man shall bear his own burden. See, that's the natural order of things. In times of weakness, we are to carry one another's burdens, but when that man is restored and strengthened, he's supposed to carry his own burden. Do you understand? Verse 6, let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things. Be not deceived, the Almighty is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he reap. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. That's powerful. See, whatever you sow, you're going to reap. Many people call it karma today in these modern day times. Do you understand? But it's basically you're reaping what you sow. And so for those of you out there, understand that when you sow to the flesh, when you sow to the things of this world, you're going to reap it. But also understand for those of us who put aside our pride, when we sow or when we work, as far as pertaining to the things of the Spirit, we're going to receive those things. Do you see this, my brothers and sisters? Let's go to Revelations. Thank you, my master. Revelation, the 3rd chapter. And let's look at what our master had to say to some of our ancestors who had an issue with putting down their pride. Revelation, the 3rd chapter, and starting at the 14th verse. It says here, and unto the angel or the messenger of the church or the assembly of the Laodiceans, write, these things says the Amen, or the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of the Almighty. I know your works, that you are neither cold nor hot. I would you were cold or hot. So then, because you are lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spit you out of my mouth. This is powerful. And this is where our Father King gave that beautiful song called Double Dribble. You cannot be lukewarm, my brothers and sisters. You cannot double dribble. You basically have to make a choice. Either you're hot or you're cold. You cannot be lukewarm. Do you see this? Once you put your hand to the plow, you cannot look back. Otherwise, you're not fit for the kingdom. Do you understand? So notice how our master was dealing with our ancestors, those who was in the assembly, as far as the Laodiceans, and notice how they were in a state of lukewarm. Do you understand? Listen what he says here. He says, because you say, I am rich and increase with goods and have need of nothing, and knows not that you are wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked. I counsel you to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that you may be rich, and right raiment or right clothing, that you may be clothed, and that your shame, listen what it says, and that the shame of your nakedness do not appear, and anoint your eyes with eye salt, that you may see. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Be zealous, therefore, and repent. See, he was telling them to turn away from their pride. It was those in the certain parts of the assembly, they basically got arrogant. And so he's addressing their pride. Do you see this? And he's telling them what they need to do. He's calling them to repent. Look at verse 20. He says, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me. To him that overcome will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame and am set down with my Father in his throne. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches or the assemblies. So those who had an ear to hear what the Spirit was saying, those were the ones that were able to recover. Do you see this? But notice what our King said, my brothers and sisters. And so we all have to be willing to address our pride and to put it down. And so for all of you, the great harvest of the youth is not done. Our Father King is still dealing with me in what to do. But I want you all to still be comforted with the poetry that our Father King is inspired to say. And he's given me to be able to put down, and I hope that many of you can still learn from it. Those who are true and sincere. And so, even though I had to go through those things with those whom I have called brothers, and we were able to talk, and basically it was let to be known that, look, I'm going to go with the Father and the Son. You've made your choice, and that's it. And so, for those of you out there who may be dealing with these issues, everything happens for a reason. And so, for those of you who are going through these things with loved ones, I want you to be encouraged to don't let hatred get in your heart or build in your heart. But yet, let our Father, our King's joy and peace strengthen you in these tough times. And many of you who have not experienced these things, you're going to experience them. And when they come, this is when our Father King, you have to pray and ask them to strengthen you to overcome these matters. And you move forward. Do you understand? So for those who turn back, those who basically have stand with you, and they proclaim the good news, and for whatever reason, they turn away, you, my brothers and sisters, are to continue to move forward. You deal with the issues as you're led. You deal with them and you address them as you're led. Not in hatred, but you address them as our King has laid down. But you have to take a stand, and you cannot be afraid to deal with the past because it's going to come back at you. And when the enemy comes, we all have to be ready. So put on the whole armor of the Almighty and understand that we got to walk through this terrain together. Do you see this? And hopefully we all can make it through. So keep pressing towards the march, my brothers and sisters. I love you, and continue to enjoy the poetry and be encouraged. In the name of our Father and our King, around the Amen.